Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight I've got another movie review. We're going back to the horror genre tonight. I haven't been doing it for the last few reviews, so we're back there. It's an American horror film released in the year 2006, directed by Scott Glosserman. This film is called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And the story to this one is as follows. You know legendary maniacs Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger. Now meet Leslie Vernon, the new great psycho. This good-natured killing machine invites a documentary film crew to follow him as he reminisces with his murder mentor, evades his psychiatrist, and meticulously plots his upcoming slaughter spree. But when the actual carnage begins, where do you draw the line between voyeuristic thrills and good old-fashioned slasher movie mayhem? A blend of horror and comedy that skewers, deconstructs, and pays homage to all the iconic slasher films. So this is a slasher film, but it's a slasher film like no other. It's basically deconstructing the actual slasher film itself, and it's poking a little bit of fun at it. So it's very different, and immediately you kind of get the idea that it's a very unique story, but it is actually a story that is very reminiscent of a classic Belgian film. So anyway, I'm going to go through the story. You've got it's a different sort of dimension sort of world, where Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Michael Myers have been real people, and they have since retired in the slasher maniac business. And so the new breed of psycho is up and coming, and these three horror icons are their inspirations. So the person who is the focus of this film is Leslie Vernon. He's a young man and he wants to be the next great psycho. So he invites a documentary crew to come along with him in detailing his life and detailing the preparations behind a very up and coming murder spree. So they get to know him. He introduces the camera crew to his inspirations. His mentor is a retired maniac, and he's basically showing him the ropes, telling him what to expect, telling him how to plan out and pick his victims. So as the film crew go along, it gets darker and darker, and just as the carnage is about to begin, they have second thoughts. But this puts the life of the cameraman in great danger because Leslie does not appreciate that. So if you want to know how the movie unfolds, please go out there and see this film for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with Synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. As I said, this comes across as a very unique film, and I think it's good that this is part of the subgenre in slashers, because slashers have been done over and over again. Not really too much creativity lately, but this movie really does have creativity. Now, as I said, it comes across as unique, but if you are familiar with the Belgian film Man Bites Dog, you will get strong similarities with this film. But if you haven't seen Man Bites Dog, you're going to be blown away by how unique this actual story is. Now, it's a documentary type of film, and it really does portray horror maniacs like Jason Voorhees and Leslie Vernon in particular here as real people. And that's what I thought was really intelligent about it, because when you see horror films and you deconstruct them and you think to yourself, why do these people make stupid decisions? Why do the villains don't die when they're killed? And this movie kind of gives a humane approach about it, and it gives reasons as to why they're doing it. For example, they use bulletproof vests, like Michael Myers and all that, and they have this breathing technique that monks have, where when they're buried, they can hold their breath for days. And that was really smart. Now, I've never seen that done before, and I actually thought it created so much unique flavour to it that it really drew me in, and it kept my attention from the first three quarters. Unfortunately, this movie is a victim of its ending, like so many films previous to this one. Yet, the ending was what really let it down and prevented it from being a great film. This potentially had the talent to be a masterpiece, but unfortunately falls well short. But the first three quarters is absolutely fantastic. So we've got a real sort of it's a mockumentary, but it's a real sort of feeling. You've got the camera crew who are interviewing this up-and-coming psycho, who is an extremely interesting character. Now, this is a very dark humour film, but the humour was just so well. It was very, very subtle. It's not slapstick, and the way that the actor who plays Leslie Vernon steals the show. I thought he had such charisma to him. His mannerisms, his body language, and the way he reacts to certain things was hilarious, scary, and quite touching in some parts as well, because you do get the feeling that this guy, he is brainwashed by what he sees. His idols are doing what he loves, and therefore he just wants to be like them. And it kind of gives you the impression that it's having a stab at slasher fans, and kind of fans that take things a little bit too seriously. So it does have a real sort of message in that when you get a murder spree and you get people who blame movies. This is kind of a very twisted take on that, where you got Leslie Vernon, who has seen what his icons are doing, and he tries to do the same. He wants to be the next great person. So although it is a horror comedy, it does have a very real message and a scary message as well. But that message will not be picked up very much because it is very, very subtle. But underneath the surface, I actually picked it up, and I actually felt that it is a very intelligent film, but it is disguised as a really fun movie. So the acting was very good from the supporting cast. It's not a gory film. It's not a slasher film that focuses on gore. Shockingly, a lot of people will be shocked by that and be turned off by it. But it gives you an insight into the mind of a great horror slasher icon. And I thought that I wasn't expecting that kind of thing. It's not really necessary. You won't feel sympathy for these guys because it's so far exaggerated. But it does provides something a lot different. And I thought that the subtle humor and the humane approach to evil villains was just something that it took me by surprise, and I actually thought this movie was going for a 4-star rating. Unfortunately, the last 20 minutes of the film, they kind of ditched the documentary approach and go down a standard slasher approach just to finish it off. Which, they're poking fun at slashers. They're deconstructing slashers, so it does make sense that at the last 20 minutes, you make it a routine sort of slasher film. But the problem lies in the fact that the slasher element to the film, right at the end, it should have capped off a memorable experience, but it has no creativity, it just no enthusiasm, and it just plods along. And it was just an incredibly disappointing way to cap off what was a very, very memorable experience. It just lacked absolutely any motivation, and as a result of that, it just became very boring, and I was absolutely horrified for the wrong reasons, because it's been a long time since I've seen a movie be a victim of a very poor ending. So it started off as a 4-star review, but unfortunately this movie is only going to pick up 2 stars because of the ending. I thought it was absolutely deplorable. But if you get to the 20 minutes within the end and you stopped it, then you will get a very good and a very unique film. I thought it was absolutely brilliant up until that 3/4 mark, and then it just rapidly goes downhill, and it goes down 2 stars. I know that might seem harsh because of the fact it's great, but it promises so much. It just needs that ending to deliver, but the ending completely crashes and burns and ultimately hurts this film in a massive way. So it started off as 4 stars. Unfortunately, it's only getting 2. Definitely, I would recommend it based on the fact that the majority of the film is exceptional. But yeah, don't expect a masterpiece because, like me, you could find yourself bitterly disappointed with the payoff. So that's my review for Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.